This episode is brought to you by Happy Delta and their superior line of Delta 8 gummies and vapes. Delta 8 is becoming a super popular alternative to THC, and it's available online right now at happydelta.com. Their apple gummies taste great, and boy are they potent. You'll feel it within 30 minutes and even faster if you get a vape like the most popular strain called Super Silver Haze. Next time you're looking for a good time, try Happy Delta and get 15% off your first order.
All right, check one, check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell, coming to you live from Dunkin Donuts with a good friend and a guest in a strange statue, but this is for the audio, so I don't want to talk it up, but we're at a Dunkin Donuts in Brooklyn in a backyard, and I have an awesome guest, a dope guest. He has a show on Adult Swim that we're going to talk all about. I want you to give it up for Joe Pera.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the Cannabis Coffee Hour. Joe Pera talks to you, and I'm a big fan.
Thanks. Yeah. Further, I'm sorry. I hope nobody's disappointed. I'm not actually high this morning. Got a busy day, but yeah, maybe another time.
Yeah, another time, Joe. I totally get it. You are doing press, and you've been too cool to do this for me. He's talking to CBS, NBC. He's talking to satellites around the world, and he went to a little Dunkin' Donuts in Brooklyn, New York, in this backyard with a Jesus statue behind us. And we're enjoying a cup of coffee. And yeah, you don't have to smoke herb, Joe. I know you're cool, man. I've always known you're cool.
The only interview that matters, so.
Yeah, today is the only interview that matters. Now, Joe has got this great show on Adult Swim that I want everybody to check out because it's the third season. And when you get into the third season, that means they like you.
Yeah, they've been really nice to us so far.
Yeah.
I really feel very lucky.
Now, the show is amazing. Joe, you're a comedy, and I've seen you very early on here in New York, and you're a sweet guy and funny guy, but you've always taken kind of a nicer approach to comedy and almost more of an aesthetic feel, would I say? Is that right?
Yeah. I think about it a lot in stand-up and then how it translates to the show.
Yeah, there's a feel to it that it feels warm, whether it's a shot of a fireplace or of a garden. It kind of gives you this just real authentic feel that it just looks great on camera. We were talking earlier about filmmaking, and I'm totally getting into just being a little bit more educated on how to knock things out. Now, did you go to film college? Did you go to college film?
Yeah, I went to Ithaca College, and it was good. It's definitely not like a NYU type thing where you're getting, or like you have budgets for your movies. It was a lot of me and Dan Licata doing a public access station at college and trying to do comedy shorts. Yeah. And it was taking out big. Reserving a camera once a month that's enormous, but does video quality the same as our cell phones do now, if not worse.
I know.
But it was a lot of just, I like the courses and I had good teachers, but I think doing public access and making ideas with Dan is what really.
I know, when you talk about college to kids and or talking to young adults, like to go into the entertainment business or go into comedy, go into filmmaking, you can spend a lot of money and get an education, but the best education is actually doing it.
Yeah, the director of the show, Marty Scousbo, he went to University of Iowa for film, and I think he said he didn't go to like many classes at all, but he, on his own, would do like self-produce like his own sketch show each week for a period of time where he, you know, almost like SNL, he would write, shoot it with buddies and edit it and have it out each week. And, you know, who knows if anybody watched it, but just the reps of doing that, it's like open mics for video.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of like, I like that approach. Like, take what you can from your classes, but that's more what it's about.
But the good thing about college, it is a kind of a place where you can fall on your face and nobody's watching. And you got to play with great equipment, like, you know, TV, studio equipment. That's some of those I worked at a college radio. I remember all of that. The thing about film was it was a little bit more expensive. I was like, English, I was like, I'm not buying all. This is back when you had to process film and shit. So it would cost more to be a film major. So I switched over to being an English major because books were cheaper. But nowadays, like with this phone, we're shooting this, and this is like total HD. Joe has a black, we should get into coffee, but we went right into filmmaking. But Joe has a great black cup of coffee. And so, you started out, you and Dan Licata. And Dan Licata, I know, is also, he was a writer for SNL, he was a writer for your television show, but you guys kind of did a lot of independent shows here in Brooklyn and started in Buffalo. Did you do comedy in Buffalo?
Yeah, they had a stand-up club at school, which we did, but then, like, you know, it was like the true test when you come back and go to the open mics in Buffalo. And that was, you know Matt Wayne?
Yes, I do know Matt Wayne. Great comic, Matt Wayne. I got a fondness for Buffalo.
He was he's such a nice guy, but Dan, it was like very intimidating figure because he was like, you know, he was like the cool guy in the Buffalo scene. So it was really cool when we the first few times we did actual, you know, real open mic in Buffalo. And, you know, you get the nod for Matt Wayne, and, you know, he did something right. And, it was fun.
Yeah, Matt Wayne isn't a hack. You kind of need somebody around in those early days that's just like, okay, I'm not just going to let bullshit go through in terms of giving you props. So I'm glad he did. And you guys did you work as a pair on stage when you first started doing stand-up, you and Dan Licata?
Occasionally, we would do bits together. He had a guitar which he used early on.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, there's probably stuff would be embarrassed to be seen now, but it was like, I feel lucky in terms of like doing that at school and doing the video at school. Felt like it got like a lot of the bad stuff out of the way, at least, or a portion of our bad work out of the way, so that we kind of already knew some pitfalls and like stuff you shouldn't do before we started here. So it was like 4 years of that at school helped, I think, a lot.
Yeah, New York is so brutal in terms of there's just so many people doing it, and this place is just chaos. But in the best possible way, in terms of there is a lot of people just going for it, and that kind of creates this energy of making things happen. And you guys made something happen. You sold your show to Adult Swim. How did, and not to go too deep into any type of details, we don't want to bore them, but how did you sell your show to Adult Swim?
It started with I did an animation, Joe Pera Talks You to Sleep, and they had
If anybody has any sleeping problems, check out Joe Pera. Actually, it's another cool, aesthetically pleasing, like, it's just these, things are just visually appealing and sounding.
I appreciate that you use the word warm. Some people in interviews were like, it's positive comedy that you do, and I definitely don't aim to do positive comedy if it happens, but I'd like to...
if you're hanging with Dan Licata, he's got like chainsaws coming out.
Yeah, I think that warm is a better description because it's you can still kind of be grounded and realistic while coming across as warm. Like, I don't know, I'm highly influenced by my grandparents, and like, the way that they casually talked about death or all the stuff that they'd been through, you know, World War II, depression, being hungry as a kid. Like they would talk about it, but it still kind of came across as warm, and yeah, positive sounds kind of it gives it like a yeah.
I love that. No. I totally vibe on what you're saying because, positive, I always say, oh, you gotta be positive. And there was a time where a lot of people are talking about positive thinking and stuff like that. But the real truth is that not everything's positive and bad things do happen. And that's a part of life, is like the dark and the light, the good and the bad. But it's always moving forward. And as long as you're alive, you really don't have much to complain about.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's where the warmth comes in. It's like when the coldness comes in, and sometimes you've got to be cold. When the coldness comes in is when you kind of just block, your spirit. You're blocking pretty much who you are out to the world. I get it. With comedy, it's a little bit tricky because you're going for laughs constantly. And sometimes, being cold is funny.
Definitely. Yeah. Playing with it.
I'm switching to cold coffee. It's weird. It's 46 degrees. We're touching on, when you start messing with 30s, that's when you're like, because 32, that's the button.
That's when you don't have a choice but to switch to hot coffee.
Yeah, because it's freezing out. Because once you got to get an ice shiv for your car on the window. Once you got to do, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Joe. Have you cleaned off some window shield? What is that piece? The ice pick that you clean windows with cars.
It's called a window scraper. I don't know.
That's it. It's a window scraper.
I had yeah.
And I'm having iced coffee, and you're having hot black coffee. Now, you're doing this for the show, and we're here at Dunkin Donuts, which is, I would say, top notch. If you're going to go Starbucks or Dunkin', I know you're in showbiz, so you don't want to I don't want to blow your spot up.
No, it's fine. I always, if they were next to each other, I always choose Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know. All Starbucks coffee has that same flavor, and it's very strange. There's no other flavor. I don't know how you would describe the flavor of Starbucks coffee, but it just is like, has a little artificiality to it.
Yes.
This is the real deal, though.
This is the diner 25-cent coffee, pretty much put into mass production and selling at $3 a piece. But no, I love. If I have to go, if they're right next to each other. But I will say that I like those frozen treats, the frozen coffee at Starbucks. If I go really, give me a Frappuccino, Yappa Dabba Zappa, give me the caramel cookies. But if I'm just going straight coffee and I'm running and going, I got a bag of Munchkins.
Oh, nice.
And I got some straight up cold brew. But yeah, I do enjoy all coffee. I'll have a black, I'll have a sweet. Do you do sugar when you do coffee, or do you do milk, or nah?
Not usually. I rather have a sweet on the side, kind of like we're gonna do.
Yes. Yeah. We have glazed Munchkins here, and that is the sugar on the side for the coffee.
Yeah, I like it. I'll do cream in my coffee sometimes. It's kind of in the afternoon if you want something a little easier on the stomach. It kind of helps.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Black in the morning usually.
Black in the morning. And when you're at home, do you do a French press, or do you do the Chemex? Are you onto some Chemex, or you got a coffee mate?
This is a French press usually.
That's what I do.
It ensures I don't drink too much.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time period that Dan Licata and I were living with Tomas Delgado, and somehow I think I had been let go from a job. Dan wasn't working at the time, and then Tomas quit being a lawyer, or his law job.
Tried out.
He was writing a law journal. So there's a great moment in time where we would all be in our tiny apartment, and we just make like pot after pot of coffee and go like nuts, and we all be writing And yeah, but I can't believe how much coffee we drank back then, and like didn't go completely insane.
Being a starving artist and being up and down in comedy, I have been in those situations. And the thing about coffee is you can run you don't need a full meal.
No.
You can do, if you're running on hot coffee, if you're running on coffee, you can go by with a meal and a half a day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's good. Do you do 3 full meals, or are you splitting it up these days?
Depends. I usually like a little breakfast, but yeah.
Are you going bacon and eggs in the morning? Or I'm a smoothie guy. I got the peanut butter banana shake.
You're telling me that sounds really good.
Oh, the liquid Elvis. You know all about it, my man. All I do is talk about it. It's one of my favorite things is a banana, peanut butter, turmeric, and cinnamon honey shake in the morning.
Wow.
With oat milk, yeah, I do that. And now I'm into this stuff called collagen. I got this fish collagen, and I put that in. And the collagen, people be like, Rob, are you Botoxing? No. Collagen is actually like this gooey stuff that's in plants and then in fish, and it builds up cartilage in your knees and your elbows and your stuff.
Have you felt the difference since you started putting it in?
100%.
That's awesome.
100%. My nails were turning yellow. They were getting kind of vampire-y. As soon as I started pumping some collagen, my nails are rocking. The gray started disappearing a little bit, but I don't care. I'm ready to get old, and I love bird watching. And,
really?
Yeah. You know, I love all the stuff old people love. I love honeycomb. I love eating honeycomb. I love antiquing.
I'm sure your listeners already know, but you're talking about real honeycomb, right?
Yeah, real
Not
honeycomb.
cereal.
Honeycomb cereal is all right, but no, I'm talking real honeycomb. If you get the real deal, like with the super bees, and eat the wax. My mom taught me to eat the wax.
Yeah, you were telling me. I love that idea. You put the whole thing right in tea, right?
Oh yeah. Well, there was this honeycomb. Yeah. We could talk about that. The sun-made hemp tea that I made. I told Joe about it because I knew he would be hip into this. That was another thing my mom would make sun iced tea. And so I got these I told you, man, these Amish farmers gave me this Amish hemp, and I made this sun tea. I put it out I put it in a glass mason jar, and then I had a filter, and I put a bunch of black tea, a bunch of hemp tea, and then a big glob of honeycomb. And I just had it melting in the sun, and then I poured it over ice. I made my own spritzer.
Sounds incredible. It sounds so good.
It was good. It was good. I have to say, a good iced tea in the afternoon, because coffee in the afternoon is great, but sometimes if you rock too much coffee and then you hit an afternoon coffee, you know, it could shut everything down.
I hear you. Sometimes I'll take that afternoon coffee and want to go to sleep. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. How's your sleep these days?
Could be better.
Yeah, you got this big television show. It is tad stressful to do that stuff when the stuff starts rolling out big.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think I drink coffee in the afternoon because of the work for the show, but I also think it's because of that afternoon coffee that keeps me up a little, or makes the sleep worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also that and video games.
What are you messing with? What are you playing with?
I did Red Dead real big during the past year, but now kind of that we're finishing up, I felt that it was okay to get Zelda for my girlfriend's Switch.
Oh,
so
nice.
She's nice to lend it to me, but it's kind of, it takes a lot of time, and I've been, probably playing a little too late at night.
Red Dead. Is that the cowboy one?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you're a cowboy out west, and there's zombies, and then you just blast them up?
No zombies. That I think they might have done a version, but there's all sorts of missions. You go to the south, you go to the west, you go to Mexico even at one point, I think, or the video games version. It's really great, and I don't know, during some of the worst moments of the pandemic when you're just stuck and watching the news and it's what do? I would find myself there's this mountain area in the video game, and I would with like deep snow and big animal, and I would just ride my horse around the mountain, and it sounds really sad and maybe not the best way to cope, but it was like if I'm stuck in New York without like true nature, like it felt.
No, the graphics these days are amazing, and again, in riding a horse,
And the sound too, yeah.
the sound, and especially if you got the vibrating handle. Ka-goom, 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 ka-goom. No, I get you. Yeah, we were in New York and during I've been here during the whole pandemic, and the darkest months is like literally they were stacking. They were at the funeral home. They're stacking out back, just stacking up caskets. So everybody just went Deep Space Nine. Like I knew dudes that taped up their whole place. Like
Really?
Yeah, I know dudes that taped their whole place. I didn't really venture out much from my apartment, man. I literally, I was meditating 3 hours a day,
Wow.
butt naked, reading the Bible on acid. Just kidding. But I did learn how to meditate, and there was a point of the pandemic I was like meditating 2 hours, like 20 minutes. No, not 2 hours. I'm exaggerating. I'm doing the big fish thing. 20 minutes and then 20 minutes. 20 minutes at night. So 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night to settle my mind to go to sleep.
That makes sense.
And then I was doing these stretches called the 5 Tibetan Rites. And there's these 5 Tibetan stretches. It's supposed to be the fountain of youth. You should check it out. It's supposed to realign your whole nervous system. And they're really simple, but it's just, you do 19 reps and it's like these back bridges and stuff. So I would do that, and then I would do that, and then I would do deep knee bends with a basketball. And I'm trying to get my knees ready for. I worry about my knees. Knees are tricky, especially for older folks. That's what happened to my mom, man. The knee, and she wouldn't get the operation, and it just all went downhill, yo.
Yeah. Do you know he's on from
Zahn?
Wally?
Yes.
He was kind of comedy scene adjacent. He came to a lot of shows and plays guitar and stuff. He's a musician by trade.
Yes, Dima's friend. I think.
Yeah,
he's friends with Dima. Yeah. Dima's been on the podcast, and Dima shot my Sublime video that I did. That's what. Also during the quarantine, I covered What I Got by Sublime. You can check it out on YouTube.
That's real. I gotta watch that.
Oh yeah, you gotta check it. I got it, but I'll send you the mix. But I did a new mix.
Nice.
I've been learning about mastering. I don't know about music. I don't know. I know you hang out with some death metal dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, with mixing and mastering, it could take your music to a whole other thing, dude.
It's an art. People, I know nothing about it, but I just know how complex it is.
It's an art, and it's almost like putting the glaze, like if you're doing pottery. Mm-hmm. You ever done pottery, and then you put the glaze on?
No.
Oh, dude. Well, you do the pot, but then you put the paint on, but then you put the glaze on, and when you put this glaze on, and you put that in the kiln, that's what gives it that pop, that shiny, like, oh my God, is this from IKEA? and but that's what I think with mixing master, it can soup it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I go to all the sound mix sessions for the show, and it's really fascinating how just adjusting. There's so many aspects of the human voice and the way that it's recorded. I don't understand it all, but I learned that certain adjustments are made. Lines aren't as funny anymore. I don't know why. It's like, when, I don't know, you're pretty particular about how you speak on stage and you form the words. Like, you have a very distinct sound to your voice. And I mean, it helps the jokes, and I feel like I don't understand all the aspects of it, but I do know that if you take some of the harder consonants out, which they can adjust, it's like magic, but they can adjust the consonants and how much resonance it has, and it's really interesting to observe that the humor level goes up or down based on how more mumbly a line is, or how sharp the pronunciation is. And it's very, because if it goes too far, it's just you don't think about it, but everything on the film has been kind of color adjusted, or the sound has been just sharpened, and it's interesting to think how much it takes, or how little it takes to make a human voice sound unnatural. And yeah, there's that David Byrne book about music, and he had an interesting section on like when the telephone company was first coming up with or developing some kind of technology. They had to figure out like how little how low the quality of a voice could go while still understanding that it's somebody's voice. And
because they're processing it through electricity. Yeah,
and going through the telephone line, like what's the minimum we can carry and have it sound normal enough that people don't get weirded out by it.
It's not full on CB.
Right, because imagine trying to talk to somebody on the phone like that. It's so, it's really fascinating to think about.
Fascinating, you're right. And the same thing with music, how they can clean up your voice and like you're saying, like smooth the edges out, or if something comes, and I think with comedy, what you were talking about, sometimes I do pronounce stuff, but sometimes I'll listen to it, I'm like, why am I sounding so aggressive? You know?
Yeah.
Like comedy happens good when people are chill. And I always like the juxtaposition between loud, Led Zeppelin. I like quiet, I like loud in my art, I like it small. I want to see it all. I want to see it movement.
Yeah.
But with sound, I could see like getting a line to go softer, or underneath it getting a laugh, where if it's on top of something, or if it's kind of spitty, or they can clean up all that stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And comedy's just jokes. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, so you really, if a scene plays, whether it's a joke said out loud or whether it's a visual joke, you really just want to see that play out and show that and try to get to that. And that's what keeps it moving.
Yeah. So if just like lines get too dulled down, or they go, anything gets weird, people, I think they won't maybe be able to pinpoint it, but they'll know that something is wrong or not as funny. It's interesting. Daniel Simonson, right?
I do.
It's so incredible the way that he works on stage, just because his voice is so, I don't know.
He's a thick German accent. No, Russian. I'm sorry, Russian.
Norwegian,
yes, it's Norwegian.
Yes.
But he pronounces everything, and he's because it's his second language, I do think he's very particular on what he's trying to convey.
Yeah.
Whereas we just go with, we're Americans, so I'm just feeling and I'm just spieling.
Yeah.
He has to, articulate and actually, and in the beginning he's a very setup and punchline, great comic setup and punchline guy, that it's almost like architecture in a way of the words.
Yeah. But the sound of his voice is so specific to him that it's like nobody could get away sometimes just saying a sentence and being as funny as he is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wish I knew more.
Oh, you
the
do.
Science of it.
But you have a great voice and a great tone, and it's very warm and quiet. And comedy's such an over-the-top thing that, it must have been a struggle to come up in some of these stand-up rooms where you're like, oh, they always go, you gotta kill. And I always liked that term, and I always dug that term. But lately, as I get older, this is a new meditation thing. Mm-hmm. The universe will never open up for you if you have the will to kill completely.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I do think people have the will to kill. A lot of people have anger and this will to like cause violence. It's basic animalistic type of thing.
Yeah.
But I do think like if just being more relaxed and being more chill in the moment, real funny shit happens,
Yeah, it's just that's interesting. I'll have to think about that.
The will, that one went a little too spiritual. I tried to go. We got a Jesus pit behind it. I go a little spiritual, but my new thing with spirituality and comedy, Joe, is like once you start talking about comedy, it stops being funny.
Yes, that's kind of like when you get into the same with the sound mix. It's like once you start thinking about it, or yeah,
you start to lose the magic of it. And I think even in spirituality, sometimes I think people get so religion and everything, and you're talking about it, and you're not really living it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and how wonderful life really is, and that we're at this Dunkin Donuts and we have this outdoor backyard, and the guy was cool enough to be like, I was like, I'm gonna do a coffee vlog out here. And he's like, I don't care. And he let us do it out here, and doing creative things and getting stuff out. That's what I thought about. Do you have a song in your heart, Joe? Do you want to sing?
Yeah, I do.
You do? I think everybody has, there's an Italian saying, like everybody has a song, at least one song in their head.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if, so everybody has their own particular song that is it kind of, you think it's equatable in others, like a spiritual language to like your inner truth or your true self, and
yes,
boil that down. I've never thought about it as a song before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yes, singing and dancing require vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been tripping out on, like, who really is the tough guy? You know, is it the vulnerable guy or is it the guy being tough? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I think the vulnerable person or the more empathetic person it's harder to be more positive. It's harder to be empathetic. It's because there are annoyances and you can get frustrated. But I don't know. I just think you got to be just a little bit positive, and
Yeah, I didn't mean to knock positivity. Positivity
No, we can go negative too.
No,
I kind of just lost my train of thought because it's just so nice out here.
It's crazy. You're not gonna believe this, but there are grapevines above us.
Yeah, there's grapevines. This is this trippy Dunkin Donuts that has this awesome backyard. Like, if this was a hipster coffee shop, they could totally like have bands and shit back here and a kombucha shop in the corner. But they have this weird Jesus statue. I think that is Jesus.
I think so.
And who's he holding?
Oh.
Or do you think that's Joseph and that's Jesus, is the baby? It's hard to tell. Their faces, they don't have their eyes, they don't really have their, you can't really ID them.
I have seen pictures of grown Jesus with baby Jesus before. And I don't know, it's a little stranger. I would like to think that's Joseph holding Jesus, as if Jesus is holding Jesus.
Yeah, that's a little too much. No, I think he has a Joe vibe, I think, to him. And growing up in Buffalo, it does have, I mean, your aesthetic is very cool. I mean, it's very outdoorsy. It does have like a grandpa vibe to it, which I love. I love all these things. One of my favorite things my brother and I were talking about is, like, you ever go through a town and everybody's got the chimney going, and then you smell the chimney, like the smell the wood.
Yeah.
I'm sure in those small Michigan towns that you film in, like, that's kind of the vibe, right?
Yeah, the further out of town too, the more homes are actually heated by wood stoves sometimes. Yeah, I met a girl last time I was up there. My friend's girlfriend grew up in the Upper Peninsula too, and she had they cooked on a wood burning stove in her house, and she didn't realize, it took her like till she was adult to realize that they were like actually homesteading. She just thought it was like everyone, or she didn't think everybody did. She was just taken aback when she realized that for like 18 years of her life, everything was cooked on a wood-fired stove.
It was in this town in Virginia. A lot of the houses would have that wood stove, and it's either in the living room or connected right to the kitchen. It's kind of this metal cauldron that you just fill with wood, and it warms up all the house. It warms up all the water, and you can cook on it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those things.
When I started writing, or when it came time to like make the show bigger and turn it into a series from the animation and the Christmas special, I went up for a week and I stayed in this kind of old cabin, so I could, think and write and just isolate a little bit.
Oh, I love it.
And it was not heated, so it had a wood stove, and it was the middle of winter, so you have to wake up and
The middle of winter? Was it the Upper Peninsula or?
Yeah.
Shit, dude, you were up there.
It was like February to March, and it was so you had to, you get cold in the middle of the night like old times, and when you got cold enough to not be able to sleep anymore, you had to go get some logs to re-get the fire going until you could fall asleep again. And it was like,
were you in this place, but did you bring your girlfriend, or were you by yourself, or was Dan in the closet?
I was by myself for the first, I think, 5 nighs, and then Marty, the director, came and joined me for the other few.
Perfect.
But it was a great feeling. I mean, if you wake me up in New York at 3 a.m., it's not fun, but for some reason there's when you have to get a fire started in the middle of the night, and then you get a fire started and you're able to fall back asleep, knowing that you just did that and that you'll be okay for like a few hours. It's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, waking up in the middle of the night's not good. Lately, there's something about the human body, like at 4 p.m. everybody wakes up, like there's something about the full moon, like there's something like you get this like shock, and then you got to put yourself back to sleep.
Yeah, it's the natural REM cycles are 3 hours or so, and yeah.
That hits about that time, but one thing about that time, if I'm out in the woods, don't you love just looking up in the sky when you're out and you just see all those stars? If it's a clear night, if it's not a clear night, you're screwed. Yeah. But if it's a clear night, it looks like you're in outer space, man. Like some of these places, you are really in outer space when you look up in the sky.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like that up there. And I remember that's when one of the reasons I really wanted to set the show up there is I'd come out from that cabin, and there's a little stream nearby. I'd go pee in the stream and look up, and it was like, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, the freest a man is peeing in the outdoors without being.
I'm glad you agree. I think it's a feeling as good as that up there with almost anything else, is just being able to
pee outside on your land. Yeah, there's nothing that's the most freeing feeling, especially if you know nobody's around and there's zero shame. Yeah. And especially with water, like there is something about just peeing in the street because you know where it's going, it's not stinking everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
When I worked for a summer for these bricklayers, and we were working on this pretty large house, and one feature that was built into the design was this porch off of the main bedroom, and the guy wanted it so he could wake up in the morning, walk out on his porch. It was kind of in a rural area, and just take a leak right off his porch. And I was like, you could do a lot of bad things with money, but like that's a tasteful feature of a home that I think was actually a good choice.
Very good choice. I agree with that. And I worry about it because I do it. I flush and I worry about just flushing a full gallon of pee with the toilet, But if I had a rose bush like 2 stories down below, like he could have put like a good plant down there that would definitely get fertilized and hook it up, That's
most beautiful. Why are the flowers so beautiful?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah, man. That's no. But when I lived in D.C. growing up, this one kid's backyard, we would always get locked out of his mom's house, and we couldn't go to the bathroom. So there was this one potted plant that we would all pee in this potted plant, but it would bloom out. It had the best flowers. Because it's electrolytes. We are part of nature, and nature is part of us. And
was his mom aware ever that, or was she just curiously this one plant.
Yeah,
so
I think
much better
curiously this one plant, and we, you know, this is the 70s. I grew up like an alley cat, man. A straight alley cat. We were pissing on everything. But even now, New York is not a good pee town because this actually, I scouted this place out. Hopefully the coffee won't hit you. We're at 39 minutes. We want to be like at 45, so I got a few more minutes with you. But yeah, their bathroom is completely shut down here. That's the problem with this one.
Yeah,
New York's tricky.
Yeah, yes. It was, I always, for a number of years, I always looked for like a Starbucks or a coffee shop. Now, as long as it's in the afternoon, I learned you just walk right into a bar. You could even say, I'm gonna order a drink in a sec. I just got, and then
that's
maybe
a
that's
good
why.
one.
But bars are like the best because a lot of the times there's a lot of traffic or people hanging out. The bartender's busy. You just walk in, do your business, and get out, and nobody will even notice you.
Yeah, I did get called out once.
Really?
Late night, and it was at this bar down here in Brooklyn, and the bartender just nailed me.
Really?
Yeah, I was walking in, and she goes, "How can I help you?" I go, I'm just gonna use the bathroom.
Yeah.
She goes, "You gotta buy a drink," and I was dead broke at the time. I was like, "I can't."
Did you?
I walked out.
Oh.
Yeah. But I had been that bartender before. Like I knew the situation. But usually, like here, like I told him we were filming, I tipped like $5-6. Like I'll throw it around. I get it. I've waited tables and bar. Yeah, she just stuck me. She was just not gonna have it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yes, people do that to you.
Because it's like, what does it cost you to let me pee here? You know I'm not gonna like throw up in your toilet or try and sleep in the bath.
And it's torture.
It really is.
It is being able to not pee because I got a car now, so I'm doing this parking shit, and you just get stuck in the car for like 2 hours looking for parking, and I gotta constantly pee, and then I'm always like pulling over and almost getting arrested because I'm peeing behind some bush somewhere. Like the other night, it was like 3 a.m, Joe. I'll tell you this one, but
yeah.
I was looking for parking. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I just had to pull over in the middle of the street, whipped my wang down. I started peeing. I
Yeah.
looked up. It was a church school combo that I was peeing.
That's dangerous.
It was 4 a.m. Nobody was around, and I prayed for forgiveness, and Jesus said, "I understand you, son. This is all natural. Nobody was around, and you were in that situation."
Yeah, I don't. I mean, on one hand, I understand why peeing out everywhere isn't allowed in New York because it would get gross real quick. But
Get
also,
gross real quick.
But dogs do it everywhere here. It's like, if it's an emergency? Yeah, I don't know that much about. I've seen people talking about a like public bathroom situation, but I don't know if they've done anything about it because it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But we'll say one more thing. You're right with bars. Also, fancy hotels.
Oh yeah.
Fancy hotel. Act like you got a room. Just walk in and be like, "Oh yeah, I got a whole room here." That's what I'll do. I'll go right into the fanciest place and be like, "Yep, I'm staying here." I just put it in my brain that I'm staying here, and then I just go right into their bathroom, and it's just always wood carved and gold plated.
That is a fun way to see a lot of the cool bathrooms. If you're in Manhattan, just walk into, I like doing that too. Yeah,
it's I like doing that. I just worry about the homeless people because they do it, but it's hard. It's hard for everybody. It's literally you just gotta accept it all and keep going.
Yeah.
But you filmed the show. It's called Joe Pera Talks to You.
Yep.
And it's on Adult Swim. This is your 3rd season. You filmed it mostly in Michigan.
We do a lot of stuff in Milwaukee, and then we spend some time up in Michigan too, shooting outdoor stuff and the specific sites. Like, we really wanted to shoot it. They've got this ski hill there called Marquette Mountain, and the
Isn't there a university, Marquette University?
That's confusingly enough. I think Marquette University is in Milwaukee, and then Northern Michigan University is in Marquette.
Yes.
So yeah, but it's this great ski lodge, like wood tables. It's an A-frame structure. It's a couple A-frame structures put together, and it's nice that it's not overly modern, and it has a nice feel to it. And we got to shoot there, which I was really excited about.
When you buy a house or your cottage eventually, is it going to be an A-frame?
No.
No.
I really like them.
You like A-frames, but I love them. I've stayed them, but the bathroom access is tough up top.
That makes sense. Just the idea of flying somewhere and there's a whole feeling of the roof just narrowing out. Yeah, I like being in a square rounded shaped place for something. If just that feeling of the walls coming in on you is not, it's literally happening.
Yeah.
In an A-frame.
They are falling on top of you. I see what you're saying. And I've been thinking about this. I am interested in architecture and spaces. I dig it all. But yeah, the box, and I'm getting into one-story buildings.
Interesting.
I like a one-story house, that Miami thing, the thing falling down, and all these super condos and all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
There is a big Buddhist thing that you want to live close to the ground.
It makes sense. You probably know there, like in the Midwest, the big thing is like the one-story house, and then like that, pretty humble home, but then you go downstairs and there's a huge basement with a bar, and yeah.
Yeah, and especially if the basement, if you got the cellar door. I love a good cellar door that opens up with the they don't make those, but when you got that, you could open up your basement party.
Yeah.
You open the cellar door, then you're pretty much, you could charge at the door. I've seen that happen.
Really?
Yeah, you could have your own nightclub right there when you got the cellar door opening up.
I would give anything to go to a basement/backyard party with an open cellar door this weekend.
Oh yeah, we'll find it. The upstate, they're starting to do funky stuff like that. This is the Cannabis Coffee Hour, Joe. Where are you with cannabis? Like, we've done shows, and you think Joe's this square dude, but Joe actually hangs out with death metal dudes, and he'll hit herb now and then if everything's all done. It was after the show, but one time we did hit some herb, and we took a subway ride, and it was fun. Yeah. We had a nice talk. Where are you with cannabis these days?
I enjoy every now and then. I'm not good at functioning while on it, so I know that everything has to be done, and it's just like watching a movie.
Perfect.
Yeah, kind of, or going for a nice long walk in the evening.
It does go with nature. Cannabis does work with nature, and it works with, safe surroundings and being at home. But the thing is, New York isn't the best weed town because there's so much happening. So you have to watch your P's and Q's, especially with these new delivery bikes everywhere.
That's true. They come out,
They come out everywhere. If you're ever in New York, watch out. I like my food delivered, but there's crazy, literally electric bikes flying everywhere, and it wasn't like that 5 years ago. So that's what I've noticed. Like, you got to be an extra. You always kind of got to watch it, but at the end of the day, I think it's great. And before we leave, I'll let you go. If you were to smoke out and somebody was going to put on some tunes, what kind of tunes are you listening to right now, Joe?
I got this. I saw Damien Jurado a few weeks ago. I don't know if you know him. I love that. And then I've got this. I don't know.
Singer, songwriter, guitarist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got this album by Nils Fram. I think I'm saying it NILSFRAHMS, and I don't know that much about him, but I got this album that's all instrumental. It's actually called, I think it's like Nils Trips With You or something like that, and it's a double album and it's like orchestral type music with some horns, and it's but it's not just like sound. It's melodic. I highly recommend it.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, melodic, but it's an orchestra. But it's original music.
Yes.
So that's interesting. So it's original music, And do you, we'll leave you, I could talk to you forever, Joe.
Yeah.
And I know you got to go.
Likewise.
This is 48. I just hit a little bit of a ball and I'll let them go. My one hitter. But I wanted to say, like, do you score the music? You had that great episode he has a great episode that Dan Makata helped write with The Who on that first season. It's just the best, one of my favorite pieces of film and comedy. If you ever go to the Adult Swim, go check out their website. But what's the name of that episode?
Joe Pera reads you the church announcements.
Yeah, Joe Pera reads you the church announcement. It's fucking epic. Yeah, you guys are cranking up The Who, and I know there was a thing about paying rights for that, and I know that probably wasn't cheap. Do you score the music? Do you have a guy do you have one of those German dudes on the keyboards rocking out the score of
No, my buddy Ryan Dan, he goes by, his band is called Holland Padden Public Library, but you just Google Ryan Dan with 2 N's, and he's done the music since the sleep animation, and he's responsible for all kind of those mellow pieces that are kind of, help you fall asleep. And he's super impressive. He taught himself how to play cello, taught himself how to play the saw, he's just a really smart and creative guy who's just, I'm constantly in awe of what he's doing for the soundtrack. And his music's online. I definitely, I definitely
Shout out
recommend
Ryan.
checking him out. Yeah, the show wouldn't be nearly the same without his music.
Yeah, it's a complete texture, like I said, the aesthetic, it's how it's shot, the cameras you use, Joe, your outfits, how you talk, the pacing, everything's so well thought. And I'm amazed by you, Joe, and thank you for being on the Cannabis Coffee Hour.
Anytime.
You blow my mind, and you inspire me. You literally was this kid from Buffalo, and you figured out your own voice, and you did it with your friends, and you got a TV show that rocks, that's on TV, and thanks for just being on the Cannabis Coffee Hour, buddy.
Thanks for the donuts and coffee, bro.
All right, anytime, Joe, anytime. That's it, everybody. Peace and love.
Trapaholics Mixtapes.